Hi, welcome to the Anthony and Todd Show, a weekly podcast that critiques and memes music. I'm your host, Jonathan, aka Animated Violence Mild is my favorite buffalo wing sauce. And I'm joined by my best friend, my ever-attentive co-host, my pal, my amigo, my drug, Vincent.
AKA Tool thinks they're so cool, but they won't do my math homework.
That's a good one.
This is episode 103 of the Anthony and Todd Show, an episode we would like to call insert episode title here because Vince is just really tired and doesn't want to come up with any more episode titles for the rest of the week. The end. There's just too many episodes. Sometimes.
Let's just call it the Flamboyant Face Stabber.
That's nah.
The return of the Flamboyant Face Stabber.
That just sounds like a very bad Spider-Man villain.
Exactly.
I would know because I'm playing a lot of the Spider-Man game.
And I'm playing Spider-Man 2 for the PS2 on an emulator.
Before we start, today's intro demo is called Jonathan is very bad. Very, very, very bad.
I feel like you've used that one before.
He's a bad seed.
A bad seed.
He's a bad seed.
You might say the result of bad breeding.
This is episode 103 of the Anthony and Todd Show, an episode we would like to call... We already did that bit.
You already went over that.
I'm sorry. I did an episode yesterday, and then we're doing an episode today, and then we're doing Is It a Film, and there's just too many episodes, and the next week we're only doing one episode, and it's good. But today we're going over the latest albums from Blanck Mass with Animated Violence Mild, the OCs with Face Stabber, Dorian Electra's Flamboyant, and then we're going to go over Tool's Blah 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 year album. I forgot to write down the show notes.
It doesn't matter. It's their third album.
Third studio album.
If you give a shit about
Lateralus,
you already know which one it is.
Later all of us.
Later all of us.
Later all us. Lateralus.
The later of us. The last of us. The later all of us.
Later all of us.
Coming to a PS4 near you.
Yeah. Are you ready to move on to the Blanck Mass? I think I got my brain scanned and they found a Blanck Mass.
Buddy, that's called a tumor.
That would explain why I am so tired all the time.
Explains a lot of things.
Time to go over the latest Blanck Mass album, Animated Violence Mild. Blanck Mass is a British electronic solo project by Benjamin John Power, who's currently signed to Sacred Bone Records. He put out a fun little album in 2017 called World Eater, which was a massive, otherworldly, epic mix of noise and electronic music. I really enjoyed that album, but it also had its faults. A lot of the tracks felt very long, and it felt like the tracks would peak and they just keep on going for no purpose, and the mixing of that album just sounded very long for as short as it was. I think he tried to pack too much into one project. So that would lead us to this Animated Violence Mild, which a snippet of the Bandcamp summary of this album, the description of this album says, I believe that many of us have willfully allowed our survival to become engulfed by the snake we birthed, animated, brought to life by humankind, violent, insurmountable, and wild beyond control, and mild, delicious.
See, when they describe like to become engulfed by the snake we birthed, I just think of like the snake eating itself for eternity.
Oh, it's tasty.
Yeah. I don't know. I've never eaten my own ass, so who knows? Maybe it's tasty.
I bet the snake is tasty.
Oh.
My own ass would not be tasty because there's a Blanck Mass in it.
That's called an asshole, Vincent. Everyone has one. Everyone poops.
So this new project's 8 songs and 43 minutes, and
Wait. Kim Jong-un doesn't have an asshole.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
that one.
Yeah. So this new project's 8 songs and 43 minutes, and it turns out to be kind of more of the same, unfortunately. Going over this, I think it just leaves a lot more to be desired. I feel like we're getting a lot of these large compositions, but there doesn't seem to be a point to it. And it seems like they all kind of peak pretty early and then just hold on for about like 5 to 7 minutes.
Yeah.
And they don't really seem to stay. I like the chilling nature of it, the kind of the cool side to it. These do feel like epic compositions. They are large. The sequencing of the drums is terrific. And you get really loud and cool compositions, especially with the drums on House vs. House, but you also get these really weird, frail, out-of-tune vocals towards the end of the track, and you get some vocal effects or vocal snippets being thrown into a lot of these tracks. I think the best is on Nose Dice because it actually provides a really catchy nature that makes the 6 minutes very easy to get through, but it also kind of peaks the same way a lot of these other tracks do. Yeah. It's very catchy, but it doesn't really find a way to stick the landing like I feel like a lot of these tracks do. We go over moments like Hush Money, Love is a Parasite, Creature, West Fuga. I think they're fun. I think they last. I love the giant nature to them, but I don't think they're able to really cement their own quality.
Yeah, that's kind of the whole thing of this album. Like, as I'm listening to, like, I enjoy it, but like nothing really like has an impact.
Yeah.
There's cool moments. There's like mixtures of like I kind of enjoy like kind of the darker take on like house music sometimes and electronic, but like it's cool while I'm listening to it, but it doesn't leave enough of an impact for me to care afterwards.
Yeah. But don't take our word for it. We're gonna try a little segment.
Did you know we almost saw this band live?
Yeah, we almost did for Daughters.
Because they were originally one of the openers for Daughters.
No, we're gonna go see this band. We're gonna see this act live, but
act
because it's only one dude.
Then they need to get off Bandcamp, get on Act Camp.
Act Camp. But yeah, we were also gonna see this for Daughters, but then it switched over to whoever
Jayla and
whatever.
Hyde, I think, was the other band.
Hyde. That's my favorite member of that 70s show. Except he's a Scientologist, I think,
and also a rapist.
Yeah, there's
the actors.
Yeah.
Hyde might be. I don't know the character's full backstory or what he did after the 70s.
Yeah. Don't take our word for it. We're going to try a little segment because it works out for Is It a Film, so we might try it now. We're going to go over some Bandcamp.
Does it, though?
It works interesting because we have a reflection.
We have like no review. We have like no views on Is It a Film. Hey, you should check out Is It a Film.
It's a podcast on YouTube where we go over films and we critique and mean them. Same way we critique and mean music on this show.
Yeah. So we're gonna go over we actually have degrees in, or I do. Vincent's still trying to get it, so like we actually know what we're talking about there.
I don't know I'm talking about anything.
I mean, that's because you're stupid. Like,
it's the blank mass in my head.
In your brain.
So going over some Bandcamp reviews of what people say who are very passionate about this album comparable to us. Keegan Bobegan writes, simultaneously brutal and delicate, muddy and twinkle. This would be fun fuel for a late night painting session. I think so.
Yeah, I think this would work like if I'm animating.
I think it's what he's trying to say. It's very hazy and cold.
Yeah.
It's just chilling.
It's hazy, it's cold, it's good background music, and if you're doing animation, it doesn't provide like enough of like a distinctive beat where it's gonna fuck up your pacing.
Yeah. Cassidy Phillips writes, House versus House is the sound of your heart bursting while vomit claggily watch springs onto the bathroom floor. It's that good. The drum sequencing on House vs. House is the best across the entire album, in my opinion. And I think that's one of the tracks where I think the rhythm of the track is able to help distinguish across the 7 minutes and make it worthwhile. And then finally, Flesh Mechanic writes, Restless Walls of Sounds.
Tetsuo?
What?
Tetsuo? The Flesh Mechanic?
Flesh Mechanic writes, Restless Walls of Sounds being built around modern industrial dream. It's packed one hell of a punch, yet each song somehow glimmers with hope and promise of better days. The substance is complex but easy to understand and enjoy. My mind clicked with this album immediately. If at the end of the year if you find a list of the best albums of 2019, this album is not on it. This list is bullshit.
It's not going to be on mine.
It's not going to be on mine.
My list is bullshit.
My list is bullshit. I think the mechanical nature of a lot of these tracks, the fact that it is blending noise music with electronic music is a nice blend.
Yeah.
But it really just doesn't. It doesn't work with the amount of tracks. I feel like if there are fewer tracks and they each have
their like an EP.
Yeah. I feel like these compositions are way too long for what they are. Keep in mind those scores are futile and meaningless. Right now I'm feeling a 6 on this.
I was thinking 6.
It's enjoyable. I just feel like there isn't anything that makes it kind of almost past like an ambient backdrop.
Yeah. Again, it'd be good to animate too because I don't have to pay attention.
Yeah.
I'll be focused on animating.
Oh, I see.
Animated mild violence.
Oh, I see what you did there. Time to go over this latest.
I'm still going to call them VOCs. Fuck you.
It's time to go over this OCs.
VOCs?
No, it's this latest OCs.
Look right there, album. You have the OCs.
The OCs they're now called OCs. So I didn't put that. I put it in a sentence. I acknowledge the fact that they at one point called the OCs. They're also called OCS. They're also called some other name that I forget. There's a lot of names to this group, but the OCs, or now they're called
just pick
OCs.
a fucking name.
No.
Pick a...
You don't need names. You need more names. More names and more albums. The more albums you can produce with as many names as possible, the better a musician you are.
That... Did it work for Swain?
Yeah.
No.
Because I already forgot about it, so yes. It's to hide your mistakes. We're going to go over the latest OCs projects. Face Stabber. The OCs are now they called OCs as a San Francisco garage / psych / prog rock band. They have a prolific and consistent output. This being their 22nd studio album, and it's a double EP. A double LP, not EP. This would be way shorter if it was a double EP.
Just imagine, dude. Like, it's an EP. It's like 4 discs. Like, fuck you.
Me and Trevor reviewed their 2017 release Smelt or 2018 release Smelt Reverser last year, and it was a great jam-packed album. A lot of great prog rock music on there. It was a great jam session, but it wasn't really distinctive in any quality. There wasn't a lot of substance to the jamming. It was a nice listen. It went on way too long. It was almost an hour of material, and it felt like an hour of material. There wasn't any real reason to come back. It was a nice listen, an interesting dive into prog and psych rock, but it didn't really have any reason to come back for me to come back to it. The Bandcamp description of this album, though, is completely ridiculous. I recommend you read the entire thing in full because it makes no sense.
Can we read the whole thing in full?
No. It would take like 5 days.
Is it that long?
It's long enough for me not to read it. But we're going to read a shortened description because this is just completely gibberish and bullshit, and I love it. This album is SoundCloud hip-hop reversed, a far-flung nemesis of contemporary country and classic algorithmic.
Come on, we're going to be talking about Tool. You got to get your algorithms. Got to get your math formulas.
I don't need... I told Trevor this a couple weeks ago. I got all my gen ends done with math. I don't need to do any more math ever again.
I feel so dumb because whereas all of my friends in film were like, yeah, I got my basic gen ed out of the way in math. I was like, I finished Calc 3 because I was an engineer for a year and I hate myself.
Yeah, because you're stupid.
Yep, that's why I was able to get an A in Calc 3 because I'm stupid.
Yeah, algorithmic.
Pop
Barf.
Blarf?
Barf.
We're getting another Blarf album?
No, I
fucking wish.
Pop Barf.
See, here's the thing about this. If you're going to be this fucking pretentious...
I don't think it's pretentious. I think it's memey.
Like, or memey or pretentious or, like, long-winded about, like, we're the antithesis of, like, SoundCloud rap. And they just put out a pretty generic-sounding...
It's not generic. It's very par for the course prog rock album. So basically...
Which is generic prog rock.
So this is an hour and 20 minutes...
Which is on this... You've reached Tool length.
You reached Tool length. Can you tell what was the last album? Can you guess what the last album I listened to was this? This and then Tool. Because they were just so long.
Sorry for you.
It's just back to back.
I was smart. I broke them up when I put them in the playlist. I was like, okay, we'll start with something semi-quicker with Blanck Mass. Then we'll do this. Then we'll do Dorian Electra. Then we'll do Tool. Let's break up the long-ass albums.
No, let's put them back to back. You and Dorman, one experience. But this album starts off with the Daily Heavy. This weird squeaking toy.
It sounds like a fucking, like, dog toy that's just being, like, repeatedly smashed.
You get this funky, gelatinous track that is so weird and expands and oozes over the 7-minute time frame that it's so cool. These synths line up perfectly with these guitars. There's moments on the Experimenter that sound like a synth-like horn, or it's like a horn that's a synth, or it's a plucking instrument. I can't really understand, but it lines up with the guitars so perfectly. And then around after the Face Stabber, you just get into generic prog rock for the rest of this. You get tracks that are 14 minutes and 21 minutes, and they're not bad.
And that's not like inherently like a bad thing.
But they're even moments that are more jazzier than others. But for a lot of this, it's a nice listen, but it doesn't really stand out comparative to a lot of other prog rock releases. And there isn't anything that they haven't done that I haven't heard on Smelt Reverser. I think their composition-wise, they're good group chemistry on here, and I like the group chemistry, and I feel like they're able to compose epic, sprawling prog rock odes, but they don't really do anything that hasn't
there's
been accomplished.
no sense of like real progression compared to like some of the best like prog rock bands. It's like the whole idea of prog was progression, where the songs build and constantly like grow and progress. And you don't get that sense on here. Like, that's why I said, like, songs can be, like, 21 minutes. They can be longer. Like, Swans does it amazingly. But because they're constantly building on their elements to, like, this feeling of, like, growth towards this, like, epic crescendo of the moment for a song. And in this, you don't really get that. You just kind of get an element that they kind of just wear out until you get tired of it. And then they keep fucking going. The joke I've been holding on to for so long is, for an album called Face Stabber, I expected to feel more of a point.
Boo. Boo.
It's a bad joke. I know it's bad, but I thought about it a long time ago and I've just been waiting.
Boo. Henchlock is probably the worst track on here. It's the most simplistic, but it's also the longest at 21 minutes in length.
Yeah.
And that's the closer track,
Which
of all
makes
things.
it so fucking hard to sit through.
Yeah.
But I like listened to this the first time. I was like, okay, good, we're on the last track, we're almost done. I'm just like, why is this still going?
Yeah.
Let me believe you already hit an hour point by the time you hit that song.
Yeah.
And then you just keep fucking going.
Yeah. That's all I really gotta say about this one. Keeping in mind that all scores are futile and meaningless. Right now, I'm feeling a big old 5 on this one.
5.5. Like, it's got a lot of good instrumentation. You just don't do anything with it.
Yeah. So we go into prog rock. Are you ready to get in some prog metal? You ready to get in some prog metal? Some progressive metal. We've progressed.
Prog metal has always been, other than like the really, really shitty extreme metal genre, is my least favorite metal genre.
Time to go over Tool's Lateralus. Lateralus. Tool's Lateralus.
I get it now. It's one person going later all, and then another person being confused like,
Us? So, Tool. Jonathan, tell me about this album, because I didn't run anything in the show notes.
Tool. We've talked about them for 2 different albums in the last 2 weeks. Go look at that shit if you want to know about the band. This is their 3rd album.
And Jonathan forced me to do this one because I'm Tooled out at this point.
And at this point, we might as well just do them all. We only got 2 more. We might as well just do them all.
Do we have 2 more?
Yep, we've got their last one and then their new one.
Okay, we're just doing the new one.
Nope, we gotta do 10,000 days.
No,
I feel like 10,000 days of listening to Tool.
No, I'm not doing that one. That's where I call big old bullshit on you, Jonathan.
Fuck you.
So,
come on, we're so close.
I don't give a fuck.
We can get Trevor involved.
No, I'm not. We got packed schedule next week. We're not doing that.
Fine. Lateralus, their 3rd Tool album.
After Anemia and
Undertow.
Which Undertow continues to stand out as the best, the most consistent, the most punchy, the most innovative, whereas Anemia was experimental in its interludes and very brief instances, but it was more it was a long-fledged version of that it kind of replicated these same ideas. If you listen to Anemia first, it would sound like a good album, but if you didn't have the experience of Undertow.
Yeah.
Undertow ruins it for the other 2 albums, whereas I think if you listen to this first, it would sound like a very racing, unstoppable force of progressive metal that you couldn't chain. But since I have the experience of Undertow, it just sounds like Tool's first album expanded out even further.
I kind of mentioned this when we were like talking about how like the idea of like auteur theory in film.
Yeah.
So like auteur theory is like the idea that directors and filmmakers can have such a distinctive voice that like you can immediately tell what a film is by them without necessarily knowing it, just by how it is. Some of the most famous auteurs are people like Wes Anderson and Quentin Tarantino. But the issue with these filmmakers is that they're so stuck in like being so distinctively them that their films don't variate that much, and they just kind of become stale directors where like every once in a while you'll get something great, like whenever Wes Anderson decides to make an animated film. Or whenever Quentin Tarantino does nothing, because there's not a single Tarantino film since like Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction I'm like, yeah, great. The closest is Django, and that's just because I love westerns.
I like Hateful Eight's good to watch. It's not a great movie.
No, it's okay though, and that's the thing. Like all of the times, like the films are like they're good to watch, and like you said, like these would be good albums if we didn't have the context of all their previous like albums. They'd be good films if we didn't know like, oh yeah, this is just another by the numbers Tarantino film. This time he was able to justify all the N-words because it's in the racist South. Cool.
Yeah.
Like that's it, and the issue is like Tool does the same thing. They're like the only like major auteur band because like no other band sounds like Tool. Like no other director seems like Tarantino, no other director seems like Wes Anderson. No other band sounds like Tool. And the issue with that is Tool only sounds like Tool.
Yeah.
Every album. There's like almost no evolution with their sound, and it's because if their albums were shorter, that might be more tolerable. But like this one's an hour and 16 minutes. The last one was like an hour and a half, and their first one was 69 minutes.
69 minutes, perfect length.
Exactly.
69 minutes and like 20 minutes of just like fucking around with noise.
Exactly. So their albums are so long, and there's so little real progression with them. Like if you love the sound of Tool, I get that. I do too on their first album, and I like some songs off of here. I love Schism, I love Parabola. But and The Grudge is really good. And there's one I always forget which
Tell
one.
me about the use of math on here, Jonathan.
So Tool, I don't remember which member.
Does this technically qualify as math rock?
I don't think so.
It doesn't.
No. But Tool's members are like one of the people who believe in like the idea of the Fibonacci and like perfect geometry or sacred geometry and like things like that. The idea that like math is like the perfect understanding of all of the universe, and there's like the perfect formula or the equation to understand the universe as a whole. And as such, they built a lot of this album and a lot of the song structure off of the ideas of like sacred geometry and the Fibonacci spiral, and you can hear it in like a lot of the tracks. And what makes this album stand out just enough from like the first two to be like, yeah, this would be worthwhile if I didn't have the middle one. If they went straight from Undertow to this, I would have been much more into it because like it is distinctive enough from Undertow. But Anima like is just Undertow plus the starting of this one, and it makes a bad transition to try to stop giving a shit about this one because I already heard it in fucking Anima. And that's just the issue with I think Tool as a whole.
Yeah, even with their latest single, it seems formulaic to what they've already accomplished in the field they've created.
When you start basing your entire sound off of a mathematical ideal of a perfect number and a perfect formula, your music is going to become a fucking formula. And it's going to stop being interesting. Because it's a fucking formula.
And that's this.
Yeah. Like, there's a reason I quit engineering. It's because I was sick of formulas. I got tired of the same shit every day.
Yeah. I can't even really go over distinctive moments because it was very hard for me to pay attention because it's the uncanny effect of seeing this before.
Yeah, the only, like, true, like, I guess distinctive moments are things like Eon Blue Apocalypse and Mantra, which aren't really songs so much as they are just kind of like interludes, where Mantra has like the humming, like it's a mantra. It's something you do when you meditate. But then there's Schism, which is a great track.
Great single.
Their music video is not as great for that. That's why I like the first album more as when I was younger and dumber and couldn't justify why I liked that more with actual reasons. But yeah, it's
a Tool album.
It's a Tool album. If you like Tool, you're going to get into it. But like if you're somebody who just likes the sound of that's like unique and interesting and good, like you heard it already.
Yeah. Still Undertow best album.
Undertow is still the best Tool album. In this case, it's just because it's the first Tool album.
Yeah.
It's why I like Reservoir Dogs the most, because it's the first Quentin Tarantino film.
I like Hateful Eight. No, I'm just kidding. Keep in mind that all scores are futile and meaningless. Right now, I'm filling a big old "It's a Tool" album out of 10.
Yeah, I can't even come up with any like rankings for Tool anymore. It's a Tool album. It's another Tool album.
Okay.
I'm just gonna listen to Undertow again whenever I want to listen to Tool.
Yeah.
Maybe Schism as a single.
Wow, we have reached a full parabola. I don't even remember where the parabola is. Was it like what's parabola? I forget.
Just a curve.
Is it
a special type of curve?
Yeah, we've reached we've gone over the slump, and now we're at Dorian Electra. Time to go over the latest Dorian Electra album, Flamboyant. Dorian Electra, this weird pop sensation that just came out of the blue that I've heard a lot of people talk about all of a sudden, and I really was interested going into this after Daddy Like was shoved in my Spotify daily mix a lot.
See, that's why I'm so glad that for the longest time, the only thing I listened to on Spotify was punk music, because that's the only thing I get recommended to me on Spotify. It's like, hey, here's a new punk. I'm like, dope. This one sucks. Move it on. This one's good. Dope. And that's it. That's my life now.
But this is Daddy Like is one of the most infectiously disgusting and amazing singles of the year, in my opinion. It's pretty similar to how I feel about 100 Gex' latest song, Money Machine, their biggest single so far, where it's really annoying but it's great that it's really annoying, and it's the largest version of itself, and that's what makes it spectacular. It's in your face with how weird and kind of, I guess, loud its version of pop music is. And I wasn't very surprised when Dylan Brady of 100 Gex actually produced a decent amount of material on this. So I was interested going into it after that big single, Daddy Like. And Dorian Electra is a very flamboyant act and a very genderqueer positive act, being genderqueer. And I want to see more queer artists thrive, and I was really interested going into this. What is this album? If you like your weird pops, you like your Sophies, you like your 100 Gex, you like your Charlie XCXs, you're gonna really enjoy this, because it is a very loud, unorthodox pop album.
This is an album that you have to get like the best possible speakers you can have to listen to, and I think that's what.
And then you have to break your mic.
You have to break your mic because the music is just flowing through you.
Yeah.
You feel it.
You feel it.
We had talked earlier. Like, I wasn't fully into this album because I thought some of their vocal performances weren't always up to snuff. But then I listened to some like the best speakers I could finally find. I was finally able to find my good speakers because I moved.
Were they in the back of your car?
No.
Oh, because you keep a lot of stuff in your back of your car.
Those speakers aren't good.
You know how I know you keep a lot of stuff?
Because you've been in my car. I know, Vincent.
Because you don't clean it out, and I have to sit in the back seat.
You get to sit next to Buddha. Be honored.
You just have a bunch of junk, and it wasn't until recently I helped you clean it out. And now it's in your trunk.
Yeah.
Where all your junk
I got that junk in my trunk.
God damn it.
But anywho, finally listened to this album on good speakers, and I have a much stronger appreciation for this album.
Yeah, because it's a super saturated sound.
So good. I still think some of the vocal performances aren't completely there.
And I hate saying this phrase, but that's the point. It's supposed to be the most
and I know,
in your face.
like, you can say like that's the point,
but yeah.
But there's times where.
But also, I think it makes it more fun because
it does make it more fun.
It makes it more passionate.
It made me appreciate Daddy Like a lot more, because I originally, that was my least favorite track, because I thought the vocals on that one was really obnoxious. But then with the better speakers, I was like, okay, yeah, I get that. I can hear what it's going for better. I understand the sounds more. It's a lot more fun that way. But it's still one of those things where, like, you can say like it's the point, but at what point does that just become justification? Because I like everything. I like the production of this album. I like all of the ideas that it's trying to get across. I like the messages. I like Dorian Electra, the person. I like what they stand for and like their personality. And so it can be easy to let all of that be like, yeah, so like this is all just, it's the point, to like justify it like after the fact.
Yeah.
But at some point you have to recognize like, okay, maybe Dorian does need to work on their performance a little bit more. And I think that's the case. I think Dorian, while a lot of this is fun, a lot of this is really good, and a lot of it does work with the amateurish and the less than perfect vocals, I do think Dorian's music will definitely improve if they can just get some of those weirder moments or like some of the moments that just seem very amateurish and off, like a little more toned in and a little tighter.
Yeah, the autotune across this entire thing is very similar to eating an entire packet of fruit gushers in one bite.
I've done that.
you shouldn't.
I know I should. It was bad.
Moments like Daddy Light with the very frail, pitchy autotune vocals is just undeniably catchy. You get people spelling daddy in the background. It's really stupid and fun. You get moments like Man to Man, which is talking about masculinity, and the only way to be the truest form of a man is to fess up to your feelings. With the line, "Are you man enough to soften up? Are you tough enough to open up?" Great lines. There's some great one-liners.
Yeah, this album's got a lot of really good ideas in terms of toxic masculinity, gender identity, gender stereotypes. The idea that maybe gender isn't
A thing?
A thing.
Yeah.
Like it's a social construct. There's nothing inherent to biology or science that is gender. Gender is literally just something that society created.
I really like the idea of flamboyant, where it kind of seems like the flamboyancy is almost being done as kind of like a counterattack. I like the idea of the line, "I'm flamboyant, I go all the way, I go all the way. I know it drives you crazy." Emphasis on idea, because I feel like flamboyancy is almost I always think it's kind of like an idea of like a counter to masculinity, like a toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
And they're both on the edge, and I think they both can be used for like negative, because there's negative forms of flamboyancy.
Yeah.
But I like the idea that it's almost the counter to it, which I think is really cool. Guy liner, where the line, "Chicks dig it when they see me cry." That's
Such a good line.
Such a great line, 'cause they put on the guy liner. It's great. And Adam and Steve going over the idea that we're all God's made and we should all accept each other for for what we are. And God made me, and he loves me, and he loves me. God made me, and Adam and Steve, they want to destroy me. They will always enjoy it. They say, "Oh, abomination," but I'm God's creation. So we're all God's creation. Why can't we all enjoy each other's company?
And then I really like the song "Emasculate," just the sounds of it. It's got a great, rough, harsh sound to accompany it's just the sound. It's just great.
Very rough vocals that kind of pierce your ears. Very nice. You get moments like Musical Genius, where you get these scales that just collectively go into just collective garbage of electronic music. Across this whole entire thing, the kicks are completely thumping and they'll just destroy your ears. You get these super sweet synths that saturate the track. I think the best moments on that is Career Boy, Freaky for Life. They're just, they feel like they're just gonna break my, like, I have a cavity now. I need to get it drilled out.
You should go to a dentist for that.
I hate you. My least favorite moment on this is Freaky for Life, because I feel like it kind of replicates the ideas that Flamboyant established. And that's about it. And I think this album is just a track too long, 31 minutes. But
I think Adam and Steve would actually been a really great album ender.
Yeah.
And I think Freaky for Life is it's the weakest of all of them. It could have just gone away and the album would have been stronger.
Also, the spelling, the capitalization on it makes me want to punch this track.
Yeah. Like, I get the idea behind it,
It's
but
a meme.
at the same time, like, you've clearly showcased that you can be memey, but like above the meme and not just a meme.
Yeah.
And that's just a meme right there, the way you did the track.
But yeah, keeping in mind that scores a few time meaningless. Right now, I'm feeling a 8-. I had fun with this, and I hope to have more fun with Dorian Electra in the future. And that is it for this week's episode of the Anthony and Todd Show.
Anthony and Todd Show. It's officially over for today.
It's over.
Goodbye, kids.
We're not doing that outro. If you want to follow the Anthony and Todd Show on social media, you can do so by going to @Anthony and Todd on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and that's it.
LinkedIn.
Tumblr. But that's going to go away because MySpace.
We never had porn on our Tumblr, so our Tumblr still exists.
No, I think you didn't hear about that? Tumblr's like dying a slow death.
Oh yeah, because they got rid of the porn.
Because they got rid of the porn.
Yeah. Literally they could so Tumblr got rid of porn. I was like, and the death begins.
If you want to subscribe to us on YouTube, you can do so by going to youtube.com/The Anthony and Todd Show. If you want to find us on podcast services, you can go to Google Play Podcast, Apple Podcast, and Spotify, and you can listen to us there. And if you want to support us monetarily, you can do so by going to patreon.com/The Anthony and Todd Show, and you'll give me money for a jet ski.
And if you want to watch me and Vincent talk about films, the thing we actually went to school for. Follow us on all the things that were mentioned beforehand, except podcast stuff, and Patreon at Is It a Film?
And that's it for this week's episode of the Anthony and Todd Show, episode 103. And I'm very tired, and we have to do another one of these.
What did we even titled this episode? I don't remember anymore.
It's Vincent's very tired, and he needs to stop this episode as soon as possible. Goodbye.